They put me at the kids' table, not even joking, at my own sister's 32nd birthday dinner, in a packed banquet room at the Greenbrier. They shoved me all the way to the end near the fire exit, squeezed between my 12-year-old cousin Max and some lady who married into the family 5 years ago and still calls me Laura. My name's Lena. I'm 29. I live in Grants Pass, Oregon. Before we start, how's your day going and where are you joining from? Anyway, I wasn't surprised, not really. It's been like that my whole life. Emily, the golden child, the firstborn, the loud one with the law degree and Pinterest perfect life, was right at the center of the table, with everyone angled toward her like she was the damn sun. Mom had her hand on Emily's arm practically the whole night. Dad kept saying how proud he was of her promotion. Even my uncles, who don't know jack about corporate law, were hanging on her every word. And me? I smiled, nodded, ate my mashed potatoes while they were cold and ignored. I brought a gift, a framed sketch I made, Emily in her graduation gown. Took me 10 hours. She unwrapped it with this fake polite, "Oh, cool," then shoved it behind her chair and reached for the next bag. She called the gold bracelet from our cousin Rachel stunning. I laughed, just once, through my nose. Max glanced at me like he thought I was choking. I excused myself to the bathroom just to get out of the damn chair. Spent 10 minutes pretending to fix my eyeliner, even though I don't wear any. My phone stayed dry. No missed texts. No one noticing I left. When I came back, dessert had been served. My slice was at my place, untouched, half melted. Not a single person asked where I went. So I sat, stiff and quiet, smiling through another hour of the Emily show. Her fiancé gushed about their upcoming wedding. Her boss texted a birthday message. She did a toast to herself. I think that was the moment it hit me. I wasn't even a guest. I was just there to clap. I counted down the minutes until it would be polite enough to leave. When Mom started collecting presents and Emily leaned over to get a group selfie with everyone but me, I stood up, told Max to enjoy my cheesecake, and walked out. Didn't even bother to say goodbye. By the time I got to my car, I already knew how the story would play out. Mom would say I left early, like it was rude. Dad wouldn't say anything at all. Emily wouldn't even notice, unless I didn't post a birthday message for her online. Then I'd get a passive-aggressive text about family showing support. It's been that way since we were kids. Emily was always the one people noticed. In 2nd grade, she won some spelling bee, and you'd have thought she cured cancer. There were cupcakes, balloons, a banner in the living room that said, "We're so proud." Meanwhile, I brought home a ribbon for the school art contest, and Dad literally said, "That's cute." Every damn time. Emily got straight A's. Mom would brag about her at church like she was royalty. I got B's and C's, and I'd get the "you just need to try harder" lecture. When I told them I liked drawing, they called it a phase. When I started building websites for fun in high school, Dad said, "Okay, but what's your real plan?" By the time I was 17, I stopped showing them things I was proud of. They just didn't care. Emily had a million activities. Soccer, debate, drama club. I used to wonder if she even slept. Every time she did something new, there'd be a new photo on the wall. Mom had a whole shelf dedicated to her trophies. I had one picture in the hallway. 3rd grade school portrait. Crooked bangs and a forced smile. It stayed there for 15 years. When I picked digital marketing in college, they didn't even ask what it was. Just nodded like I'd said retail or babysitting. I got a degree, landed my first job working remote for a decent company out of Seattle, built a portfolio, got promoted. None of it mattered. They still introduced me as Emily's sister. 2 summers ago, we had a cookout at my aunt's place. I remember because it was one of the few times I showed up without an excuse. I brought lemon bars from scratch. Nobody touched them. Halfway through dinner, Emily clinked her glass and said she had an announcement. Everyone turned to her like they knew it was coming. She held up her hand and showed off the ring. Gasps, cheers, full-on applause. My mom burst into tears and shouted, "Finally," like she'd been holding her breath for years. My dad hugged Emily's fiancé so hard. I thought he was going to pop a lung. I stood there with a paper plate of cold pasta salad, watching my whole family lose their minds. Nobody looked at me. Nobody said a word to me. Even my aunt, who once told me she thought my artwork was special, walked right past me to get a closer look at the ring. And I smiled. I actually smiled like an idiot. Told Emily I was happy for her. She thanked me but didn't make eye contact. On the way home, I drove in silence. Didn't even put on music. Just stared straight ahead with that ache in my chest, like something was pressing down on me. I kept thinking maybe I was imagining it. Maybe I was too sensitive. Maybe if I had a fiancé or a ring or a law degree, they'd care. But the truth was simpler. They just didn't see me. Not then, not now. I pulled into my driveway that night, turned off the engine, and sat in the dark for 20 minutes. Then I went inside, opened my laptop, and started drafting a new client pitch. If I wasn't going to matter at home, I was going to make damn sure I mattered somewhere. The gift sat on the passenger seat the whole drive there. I'd wrapped it myself, simple navy paper, white ribbon, no frills. Inside was a hand-painted print of the venue, their names and wedding date in gold leaf. Took me 3 days and enough retouches to ruin a whole brush set. I don't even sell that style anymore. It was something special. I sat in the parking lot for a full minute before going in. Told myself maybe tonight would be different. Maybe Emily would look me in the eye. Maybe someone would ask about my job or my life, or literally anything that didn't involve Emily's future in-laws. The restaurant was upscale. White tablecloths, dark leather booths, waiters with perfect posture. I walked in wearing my best black dress and a smile that felt more like armor. The host led me to a long private dining room in the back. Laughter spilled out before I even got to the door. I spotted Emily right away, front and center, surrounded by her bridesmaids, all matching like clones in beige silk. She looked flawless, like she'd walked out of a magazine shoot. I waited until she finished laughing at something one of them said, then stepped forward and held out the box. "Hey, just wanted to give you this before it gets crazy." She blinked, took it like she didn't really want to, then glanced down and said, "Oh, thanks," without opening it. Then she turned back to her friends and said, "Did you see the flower arrangements? Like, I'm obsessed." That was it. I stood there like a damn coat rack. After a second, I stepped back and found my seat, far end of the table again, shoved between Aunt Cheryl and someone from the groom's side, who smelled like cologne and said nothing all night. I kept waiting for Emily to come over. Say something, anything, never happened. Instead, I watched her giggle with her bridesmaids, watched Mom refill her wine glass like a servant, watched Dad get up and make some speech about how proud he was to be giving away his firstborn. Firstborn, favorite, most important. I wasn't even included in the slideshow. They did this 10-minute video montage with baby pictures, school dances, college graduation, all the way up to engagement photos. People clapped and sniffled. I didn't see one photo of me and Emily together, not one. I laughed under my breath. Not loud, not bitter. Just one of those laughs that slips out when you realize you've been stupid again. I got up before dessert, didn't say anything. Just grabbed my purse and slipped out while the lights were low and the room was full of applause. Out in the hallway, I passed one of the bridesmaids fixing her lip gloss. She didn't even glance at me. Outside, the air felt colder than it should have for June. I walked to my car slowly, like maybe someone would notice I was gone. Maybe I'd hear my name. Nothing. I sat behind the wheel with my hands on the steering wheel, staring out through the windshield. Told myself it was just one night. Just one more night of being a damn shadow in my own family. I didn't sleep much that night. Ended up scrolling through client emails at 3 a.m, just to feel like I existed somewhere. By the time the wedding day rolled around, I was running on caffeine and fake optimism. I wore a pale blue dress, simple, classy, nothing flashy. Curled my hair, did my makeup right for once, and told myself to hold it together. Just smile, clap, take a few pictures, and get through the damn day. The vineyard looked like something off a wedding blog. Miles of green, white flowers everywhere, and a ridiculous arch covered in roses. There were strings of lights, little signs with cutesy sayings, and a crowd of people in pastel linen, sipping mimosas like they belonged on TV. I spotted Emily near the bridal suite entrance, laughing with her bridesmaids again. Her dress was beautiful, I'll give her that. Sleek and perfect and expensive as hell. Dad stood next to her, beaming like he'd just won the lottery. He didn't notice me. Nobody did. I made my way to the seating chart just to figure out where to go for the reception later. Took me a minute to find my name, Lena Harrison, table 14. Way down at the bottom of the chart, in a small font like they had to squeeze me in. I walked over to check it out. The reception tables were already numbered with little chalkboard signs, and sure enough, table 14 was in the back corner, literally next to the kitchen doors. One of the catering staff was already standing there, chewing gum and checking her phone. My seat? Folding chair, not one of the cushioned ones like the rest of the guests. Not even close. I looked around. Cousin Lauren, who hasn't seen Emily in 5 years, was front and center. Mom's coworkers, prime spots. Even some guy I didn't recognize from the rehearsal dinner was seated with the family, but me? Kitchen corner. Folding chair. I felt my throat tighten, but I took a deep breath and told myself to stay calm. It's not like anyone would notice if I cried anyway. The ceremony started, and I stood where I was supposed to. I clapped at the right times, smiled for the photos, watched Emily float down the aisle like she owned the world. Her fiancé looked like he'd just won a prize, and the whole time I kept thinking, this is the grand finale. This is the big show, and I'm still background noise. At the reception, I sat at table 14 without saying a word. The couple next to me chatted about their Airbnb and whether or not the wine was too dry. Nobody at the table even asked who I was. My name card had a typo. Lena. I stared at it for a full minute before turning it over. The music started. The first dance happened. The toasts, the tears. I stayed for 45 minutes, long enough to eat half a roll and drink 1 glass of water. And then I stood up, grabbed my purse, and walked right out the side gate. Didn't look back, didn't say goodbye, didn't feel bad. Just walked slowly across the gravel parking lot, heels sinking with every step, wishing I'd never come in the first place. I was halfway to my car, heels in one hand, dust clinging to the hem of my dress, when I heard the voice behind me. Lena! I stopped but didn't turn, keys in my hand, eyes locked on the driver's side door. Footsteps crunched fast behind me. Are you seriously leaving right now? During the reception. I turned around slow. Emily stood there in her wedding dress, bouquet gone, makeup still perfect. Her voice was sharp, clipped, more pissed than concerned. Yeah, I said. I'm leaving. She squinted at me like I was speaking another language. Why? I tilted my head. You really don't know. She crossed her arms. It's my wedding, Lena. I don't have time to babysit everyone's feelings. I let out a short laugh. I wasn't asking for babysitting. Just maybe a seat that wasn't next to the kitchen. She blinked. Seriously? You're upset about where you were sitting? No, Emily, I said. I'm upset because strangers got better seats than I did. Because people who've known you for 6 months got center tables, and I got stuck behind the damn dishwasher. She rolled her eyes and looked around like she was checking to see if anyone could hear us. I didn't make the chart, okay? It was the planner. I didn't notice every single seat. You noticed enough, I said, stepping closer. You noticed who got the spotlight. You noticed who got the toasts and the hugs and the tears. You noticed everyone except me. She opened her mouth, but I wasn't done. Do you know how many family events I've shown up to, only to sit in the background and watch everyone fawn over you? How many times I've smiled through being ignored, dismissed? Called Emily's sister like I didn't have a name of my own. Her jaw tightened. That's not fair. No, what's not fair is that I've spent 20 years getting pushed to the side like a damn extra in your perfect little life. And you know what? I let it happen. I kept showing up, kept trying to matter. Emily's voice dropped. I didn't mean to make you feel that way. I shook my head. You didn't even try not to. She looked down at the gravel for a second, then back up at me, eyes glassy. This was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. Good for you, I said. Really, I hope it is. But don't expect me to sit there like furniture while you pretend I don't exist. She swallowed hard. Lena, come on, don't do this today. Why not today? Because it's inconvenient? Because I'm ruining your photos? I stepped back. I didn't ruin anything. I just finally got tired of pretending it didn't hurt. Emily started to cry then. Quiet, tight sobs, like she didn't want to mess up her mascara. I felt nothing. No guilt, No sadness, just done. Go back inside, I said. You've got a whole room of people who worship you. You won't even notice I'm gone. She tried to say something else, but I turned and unlocked the car door, slid in, closed it without another word. The second I pulled out of that lot, I rolled the windows down and turned the radio off. I didn't want noise, didn't want music, just wind and gravel and silence. My hands were shaking a little on the wheel, not from fear, just from the release. It was like everything I'd held in for years had finally cracked open. I expected to feel sick about it, maybe even panicked, but I didn't. I felt clear, clean. Then the buzzing started. First text came in before I even hit the highway. Emily. Where did you go? Buzz. Emily again. Seriously? Buzz. Mom. Lena, what is going on? Buzz. Unknown number. Hey, this is Rachel, Emily's friend. Are you okay? I tossed the phone into the passenger seat without looking, let them scream into the void. I was done performing. I drove around for a while before heading home. Didn't want to walk through the door just yet. Ended up at that empty overlook off Highway 99 where people go to smoke or cry or drink. I just parked, let the engine click quiet. My dress was wrinkled and dusty. My hair was falling down, and I didn't care. I pulled out my phone, not to answer them, but to open notes. I started typing, not a full blog post, not yet, just thoughts, memories, the kitchen chair, the fake thank you, the way no one said my name in that room unless it was to hand me a napkin. Every time I tapped a sentence, it felt like pulling a thorn out. Buzz. Mom again. You embarrassed us. Emily is in tears. You need to fix this. Fix this. Like I was a stain on her white dress. I turned my phone on Do Not Disturb and dropped it on the floor. I made tea, changed into sweats, sat on the couch with my laptop, and opened a blank doc. I didn't hold back. I wrote about the chair. I wrote about the slideshow. I wrote about the years of being overlooked and brushed off. I didn't use their names, but I didn't sugarcoat anything either. I added the picture of the folded name card. Lena. That typo felt like the final insult. The whole thing poured out like it had been waiting. I wasn't even mad anymore. I was just done carrying it. By midnight, I had 6 missed calls, 3 voicemails. One from Dad saying, "We need to talk, kiddo." He hadn't called me kiddo in years. Too late. I sat back in my chair, staring at the screen. For once, I didn't care what they thought. I knew this wasn't just about a wedding. It never was. It was about control. About being small so someone else could shine. And for the first time, I wasn't letting it slide. The next morning, I published the post. Didn't wait, didn't overthink it. I'd already edited it twice. I had the photo of the chair, the one by the kitchen doors, crooked on uneven gravel, with my name card folded over like trash. I uploaded it, added a short caption. Even at my sister's wedding, they found a way to make me invisible. Then I hit post and closed the laptop. Didn't look at it again for an hour, made breakfast, walked around my apartment like I was killing time before a test. By the time I checked again, it had over 300 likes. 2 hours later, it passed 1,000. Friends I hadn't heard from in years started sharing it. Old coworkers messaged me. Strangers from Portland, Seattle, freaking Cleveland, people I didn't know started commenting, "This is heartbreaking. I've been the invisible one too. Screw your sister." I couldn't even keep up. My notifications were blowing up. The blog got shared on Reddit. Someone screenshotted the folding chair and made a meme out of it. I should have been overwhelmed, but honestly, I wasn't. I felt seen. Not famous, not special. Just seen. Then the family started waking up. Emily messaged me. "What the hell is this? You're dragging us online? You're not the only one who's had a hard life, Lena." I didn't answer. By noon, Mom called 4 times. Left a voicemail that started calm and ended with, "You need to take that post down now." I didn't respond to her either. That afternoon, Emily posted a response on her Instagram story. She didn't mention me by name, but it was obvious. White background, black text, full damage control mode. "I just want to say I'm heartbroken over what's been said about my wedding. I never meant to hurt anyone, especially my own family. If anyone felt overlooked, I'm truly sorry. Weddings are chaotic. Mistakes happen. I hope we can heal privately. Underneath that, she posted 3 photos from the honeymoon. Smiling in a white bikini, champagne in her hand. Like the whole world wasn't laughing at her. Because they were. The comments under her last post were brutal. Mistakes happen. You sat your sister next to the damn kitchen. This ain't healing, it's hiding. I didn't tell them to go after her. I didn't ask for pity, I just told the truth. But still, watching it unfold hit different than I expected. I thought I'd feel powerful. I thought I'd feel vindicated. Instead, I felt weird. Like the spotlight I'd always wanted suddenly turned around and burned too hot. People kept messaging me. Some wanted interviews. One woman from a podcast asked if I'd come on and talk about wedding injustice. I said no. It wasn't a brand. It was my life. That night, I sat on the floor with my laptop in front of me, just scrolling through the comments. Most of them were kind. Some were angry. A few were trash, calling me bitter, saying I should have let the bride have her day. But there was one comment that stuck. You don't have to make yourself small to keep someone else comfortable. That one hit hard, because I'd done that for years. Sat quietly, smiled when I wasn't happy. Pretended I was fine. Now I'd said what I needed to say. Emily could spin it however she wanted. Mom could rage. The whole family could collapse if it had to. But I wasn't crawling back this time. Not again. The next morning, I woke up to 3 more podcast requests, 5 LinkedIn messages, and a DM from a small business in Seattle asking if I took freelance clients. I did. By Friday, I had signed 2 new contracts and booked out my next 6 weeks. My website traffic had doubled. People weren't just following me for the blog post anymore. They were checking out my work. I hadn't changed anything about my portfolio. The only difference was that people finally paid attention, and that pissed me off in a weird way. Same talent, same skills. But now, because I finally said screw you to my sister in public, now they wanted to hire me. Still, I wasn't going to sit around and question it. I took the money, I poured that energy into everything. My client work, my own brand, even the art I used to keep buried in sketchbooks. I made a whole series based on the wedding. I didn't label it that way, but each piece had the same feeling. Half-finished chairs, out-of-focus faces, quiet figures standing in the background. There was one I painted in a single night, bold black and white lines, a figure seated at a crooked table, facing away from a crowd. I called it 14. The gallery owner who'd shown my stuff a couple times before asked if I wanted in on their summer show. I almost said no. Part of me still assumed no one cared, but I said yes. They hung 14 right by the entrance. It sold in less than 20 minutes. Some woman in a green cardigan walked up to me with tears in her eyes and said, "That's exactly how I felt at my sister's baby shower." I didn't know what to say, so I just smiled. Later that night, I sat in my car staring at the receipt for the painting like it didn't make sense. But it did. People get it. The ones who've always been on the edge of the room. The ones who get passed over. The ones who say nothing because they think that's the only way to keep peace. They saw that peace and saw me. And I realized something I probably should have known years ago. I don't need my family to validate anything. My business didn't grow because my mom believed in me. It grew because I built it. My art didn't sell because my dad hung it in the hallway. It sold because it hit somebody in the gut. That's the difference. I stopped asking for permission to exist. I started living like I deserved space, like I could take up the whole damn table if I wanted. And the more I leaned into that, the less I cared who was watching. 3 days after the gallery show, I got a message from Emily. I read everything. "I'm sorry. Can we talk?" I stared at it for a full minute. Not because I didn't know what to say, because I knew exactly. I typed 3 words. "I'm done, Emily." Then hit send and turned off my phone. That night, the silence felt better than any apology. The next day, Mom called. I didn't pick up, so she left a voicemail. Her voice was sharp, clipped, like a customer service rep with a grudge. "You've made your point. Emily's been humiliated. Enough is enough. You need to take the post down and call your sister. You don't destroy family over a damn chair." I didn't call her back. That chair was never the problem. It was just the last straw. I made dinner, watched a movie, answered a few client emails. Normal things, life things. And for once, I didn't feel like I owed anyone an explanation. No more fake laughs. No more clapping from the sidelines. No more playing the quiet role while everyone else soaked up the spotlight. They can keep their group texts and their family dinners and their holidays that feel like performances. I'm out.